Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious back in the bunker. Purple State Party. Week 53, kicking this thing off. You know how we roll. Right down the middle. Common sense. America. It's pretty simple. So I wanted to start off with something I found this week. Obviously, it was not said during this week because, well, it was said like 100 plus years ago by Abe Lincoln, who's soon to be public enemy number one, I'm sure, in this woke world that we live in. Got some sort of weird, oh, there we go. Look at that, the confetti covered the lens. So Abe Lincoln here. Abe Lincoln once asked an audience, how many legs a dog has if you count the tail as a leg? When they answered 5, Lincoln told them that the answer was 4. The fact that you call the tail a leg did not make it a leg. No, so that's what we're living in right now, man. A lot of people are accepting stories that are being told that have no basis in truth. They're factually inaccurate. They don't paint the whole picture. And I'm talking to both sides, man, because I hate it. You know, I see the right as, you know, our best choice right now, you know, warts and all. But I hate it when the right relies on the same sort of lies and hyperbole and stretching of the truth and, you know, picking and choosing what results and which surveys to look at. Man, we need to be straight up honest. If we're going to ever win this war, there's the stupidity that's coming out of the so-called woke left can easily be combated. But we can't give them excuses to not listen to us. And one of the ways that we do that, I'm just checking something there. One of the ways we do that is by, you know, perpetrating lies and telling half-truths and stuff. We can't fight that way. Let them do the propaganda. We'll just stick with the truth. And as long as we shout it loud enough, eventually it'll be heard. You know, kids in 1995, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Adults in 2021, words are literally violence. Huh? You know, it used to be somebody could say something and you couldn't punch them. And it seems like nowadays, because it lacks criminal justice systems like we have here in LA, or just morals of the time, and it's perfectly acceptable to just beat somebody up for wearing a Trump shirt, I guess. Okay, you know. But that's why, you know, we have these kind of sick things going on, like, you know, the Mr. Potato Head, like removing the Mr. from Mr. Coffee is going to make a difference. It's not. It's not doing the harm you think it is. Just because you call it a tail, the tail a leg, doesn't mean it's a leg. If you're gonna be woke, why don't you focus on real problems? You know, if you want to talk about injustices, then how in the hell do you support the NBA? How do you support our policy towards China? How do you support those things? How do you support a president who supports those things? You know, how do you support leaving people on the streets to do their drugs or deal with their mental illness? Those are real problems. Worrying about Mr. Potato Head or worrying about some pictures in a book, man, that's the easy shit, man. They already took care of it. They removed those books. They had offending pictures in them, so they removed them, blah, 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 blah. You know? But again, you know, we have to move into some of the ugly news. That's a little more just fun for me because it's just political ideology. But, you know, Gavin Newsom called Texas absolutely reckless. And again, it's not that he said something like that. I mean, whatever, he's going to say that. It's what they really believe behind it. And what they're really saying is reckless is allowing citizens to make their own choices. That's scary, no matter what side of the fence you're on. That's the truth of why he said it was reckless. But of course, that's why people are leaving California to go to Texas, because his policies are just nanny state BS. The same people yell. I'm including this one because it was there, but you know, I don't really feel like reading it right now. I don't know, man. I'm just not in the mood to read it. But you know, it's a whole nother subject. But the Democrats are bad parents, and you know, they want to protect you with the mask, And if you don't wear protection, they'll just say, get rid of the baby. I mean, it's like they want their child to have no consequences in life. And they want to shelter them at all times. And Americans don't need to be sheltered. You know, this one was great when Gavin Newsom tweeted out absolutely reckless. Clifton here says, what restaurant did you tweet this from? Because, you know, he was one of those guys who said we can't do indoor dining, and he went out indoor dining more than once. You know? We're talking earlier about, you know, believing these stories, and the story was always that Trump was a racist. And here, you know, he had record low. And now, of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but look what that's reporting on March, 5th there. Black unemployment rate rises despite declines for other groups. So they're not getting hired back. But the jobs in those areas are the ones that are gone because those places couldn't survive lockdowns. You know, you're looking at what happens when all you try to do is earn woke points by going after insignificant stuff instead of worrying about what's real. You know, where was money to help prop these things up? Why the prop up black businesses? Why do we have once again this issue with black unemployment? Trump fixed it. Biden ain't doing shit about it. Jen Psaki. You know, circle back our the picture, I need to find it. Hopefully it's right here now. But her binder is a mess because that White House is a mess. It's all a bunch of puppeteers pulling strings, and they don't know which way to go. They want to make all these bold statements that don't actually accomplish anything. They want their pet projects taken care of. They're not thinking about Americans at all. They're not. Look at the crisis we already have at the border. Tens of thousands of people have already been arrested. They know it's open season here. They just want to make it here, and then they're going to get the amnesty that Joe promised. I mean, this is why you don't offer amnesty in that way. You know, that's why it needs to be earned in some way. You can't just have a mass rush of the border, and then they all... Because it's jumping the line, man. It's just like the line at Disneyland, which is supposed to be opening up April 1st before schools in our area. Disneyland will be open, but schools will be closed. But jump in the line at Disneyland, man. That's what they're rewarding, because again, it's bad parenting. It's saying, oh, well, my little boy wants to be at the front of the line, so he should go to the front of the line. What kind of mentality is that? We have a process for immigrating to this country. It's a process, and other people follow it, and other people don't. And the people who don't follow it don't deserve to be here. If you can't play by the rules the minute you get out on the field, then you don't need to be playing that game. And if the game is citizenship, follow the rules. You know, Kamala Harris here. This is from her own thing. You know, she wants a black Trump supporter drummed off the internet. No solidarity, because nowadays, apparently, I don't really get this. I don't understand this at all. But apparently your political affiliation is worth more than your shared heritage. I mean, don't really get it. Don't really understand why we've had this dramatic shift, other than the fact that the Democrats seem to have some sort of playbook for them to become the kings and queens of America and rule it with their little iron fists and keep us all safe and take all the money they can and make themselves rich, rich, rich while screaming about how bad the rich are. Whatever. Talking about the tail and the leg again, you know. Americans are more concerned about the violence over the summer than the Capitol riot. Right there. Harvard-Harris poll. You know, that's the truth. That's not what the media is telling you. That's not what the Democrats are telling you. I already knew this because, of course, what are you going to be more concerned about? Something that took place in the Capitol or something that may have been taking place in your backyard? What are you going to worry about? You know? And look at the difference. More people died over the summer. Businesses were just burned to the ground. Buildings burned to the ground. People terrified. Yeah, there were a few people terrified in Washington, but let's be honest. They're some of the people who helped create the mess in the first place, or who sat by, like Nero, fiddling as Rome burned. And speaking of the people who fiddled while Rome burned, you got this shithead, CUOMO. Never liked the guy. Slimy. Look at him. If you're that girl, you are in a very intimidating position right now. You want that? You want some like big WWE wrestler coming up to you, putting his hands on you like that? Like The Rock, Andre the Giant, rest in peace, my brother. You know, Hulk Hogan. You want some big guy coming up and grabbing you like that? That's what women have to put up with in this country. And it's him. It's this shitbag. A guy who sent sick elderly patients back to nursing homes. And they died and they infected other people. And he covered it up. And we want to yell about what Trump did? Trump didn't have direct control like that. Trump, by the way, sent a hospital ship to New York. So he could have sent the elderly patients to Trump's ship, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't use what Trump sent him. And he harasses women. Here's a picture of Cuomo hugging himself. Now, I just included that because I thought that was really sweet, but I guess the joke kind of works. You know? How about a joke that doesn't work? Teachers' unions refusing to go back to school. You could argue that a teacher in a classroom of 30 children is probably one of the safest people in America. They could wear the mask. They could certainly social distance. They could take all the precautions they need to. This is about childhood development, mental development, academic development. And these people are failing miserably, and they're making up excuses. And again, they're line jumping. And of course, the Democrats want to keep them satisfied. You know, when the air traffic controllers tried this, Reagan dissolved, the union. He was going to fire them. Bring in scabs, bring in other people willing to work, because their job of making sure planes don't crash into each other was too important. And you know what's almost more important? Early childhood development. Teens not getting to spend their last year of high school, having to go out and face the real world, and not even getting that last year around their friends. And there wasn't very much risk, and everything else we did didn't seem to work. So, you know, they should be the people fighting. But of course, this guy's dropping off his 2-year-old daughter to his private preschool. He doesn't even put her in a public program. I mean, his kid's going to school. She's developing. Of course, she's 2, and, you know, the argument can be made that, you know, that's something that wouldn't be done through the public schools. But I get that. But, you know, look at him. You know, I'm sure that guy's out every day trying to find himself some woke points. Like Bitcoin, mining for the woke points. For the woke point. I did it all for the woke points. You know? The other story they're telling now is that the Republicans are blocking our check. And apparently now the check's on the way. But look at, this is why they were blocking it. 9% goes to COVID relief. 1% goes to accelerating vaccine distribution. 5% is focused on public needs. They're bailing out pension programs. Americans, can I get my $2,000 check now? Government, the best I can do is Syrian airstrikes. Look at some of the money that's going to those things. Now, $86 billion to bail out pensions. Okay, that's fine. Do that on a separate bill. And talk about it, discuss it. Same thing with Schumer's bridge to Canada and Pelosi's Silicon Valley tunnel, whatever. Okay, little pet projects for the places that vote for them. All right, I get that. But those are 3 separate bills. You look at that list right there. That's 3 separate freaking bills. That's not one bill under COVID relief. That's pork belly, man. And then they're trying this thing here. You know, you want to know where the evil really comes from? You know, they're trying to say that having all of these things will lead to safe elections and fair elections. And how can they? All of those things are designed to allow for corruption, to corrupt our system. That's all that does. Same-day voter registration without verification. So you could just go somewhere and, like, you get to vote. You could just, I mean, in other words, they could send out thousands and thousands of people to vote in many different formats, just like I think happened with paper ballots. You know? If there needs to be reform, if places need more polling centers, then something should be done about that. In rural areas, in urban areas, where maybe there's not enough polling centers, let's spend some money there. Everybody should vote. Everybody should go in person, show their ID, and vote. Every single person has that right. This is a bunch of malarkey to try to hold on to power. They want the Department of Justice to remove social media posts, automatic voter registration for 16-year-olds, no voter ID. Well, how does that make any sense? And even this guy, I'm 16 years old, and I can't trust other 16-year-olds to vote for our president. Why would they be doing this, other than they're trying to cheat the system? They're trying to rig the system in their favor. Whatever. We should abolish the age limit and replace it with a system that only allows taxpayers to vote. If you don't pay taxes, you shouldn't have a say in what they do with taxpayer dollars. That really makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Because if you don't got skin in the game, then why should you dictate how the game is played? I like this, but I also see like certain exemptions for people who should be allowed to vote that maybe don't pay taxes for whatever reason. I understand that. People do make less than what is a taxable income and they barely get by. But again, they are eligible to be paying taxes, because they could get a job that would put them in a situation. They're leading towards that. But again, this makes more sense than 16-year-olds voting. I'm sorry, this isn't about insulting 16-year-olds, but once you've been around the block for a few decades, you start to see how people say things like, don't eat eggs because they have cholesterol. Then a few years later, it's, oh, wait a minute, that's good cholesterol. We've seen enough of this, and we've seen enough of these Democratic policies and ramblings. We've already, ever since the 70s, we've been told that the Earth only has a few years left. So once you've been through that enough times, you start to realize that it's just meaningless propaganda. So real quick here, this is about how the president should have already addressed the nation in the first couple months, January, February. And the only person who's addressed them was on February 28th. Trump did his CPAC speech. You can see here a list. Carter, 19 days. Reagan, 9 days. Bush, the first one, 7 days. Clinton, 9 days. Bush, the second, 33 days. Obama, 20 days. And Trump, 27 days. And as of this post, it was 42 days since Joe Biden has done his press conference. Why? Why? Because he's going to get called out on his bullshit? One thing that he said was he was going to unify. That was what he said. He could unify America. And the first thing he does is sign 50 plus executive orders. He didn't try to work across the aisle. He signed one legit bill so far and a whole bunch of dictatorial shit. Whatever. Democrats aren't perfect, but only one party is trying to make it harder for black people to vote. Okay? I don't understand that. Neither did Amiri King. Are you suggesting that black people don't know how to use the internet or a post office? They lack a driver's license? They lack knowledge to access public transportation? Tell me which handicap black people have when it comes to voting and how conservatives are exploiting it. I'm here. I already said it, man. I voted for Trump, and if they need more polling centers, then there needs to be federal dollars that go to that so they can vote. Pure and simple. All that other shit, bullshit. Trying to pin it on white privilege, bullshit. Bullshit. Everybody in this country can vote as long as they follow the rules. That's it. And it's not that difficult. Well, I don't understand. They're assigned a voting location. They show up with an ID, and they vote. What's so hard about that? How is anybody standing in anybody's way? Now, again, they're not standing in anybody's way, but maybe there are crowded ones. I'm willing to admit that. I don't have a problem. I've seen it, and it's probably in many different people's neighborhoods, not just people of color. So fix that. But all this other crap is just an attempt to seize power. And what have we gotten? when executive orders cause gas to go up 50 cents a gallon and food costs to increase 10%, you just tax the middle class. That's all he's accomplished, is he's taken more money out of our pockets. I mean, I'm sorry. In my area, gas is up 60%. 60 cents per gallon. So, that's almost $10 every time my wife fills up the car. More than what she was paying in December. So, it adds up. And for some people, it adds up a lot quicker. Jim coming in here talking about the Antifa guy who was paid money for his video of the Capitol riot. And he was there wearing a Trump hat. Maybe just to be in disguise. I don't know. But he was there. Again, I don't know why he was there. I don't know his motivations. I don't know what he said or did. I don't know if he had friends with him. I don't. But whatever. I don't even care. Because what Antifa has been doing, what they did in the summer and what they're still doing today is way worse than the Capitol riots. Because at least with the Capitol riots, they were going after the people that they were directly mad at. They weren't just simply burning down the average American's business, scaring people and all of that. No, these are politicians. They made choices, and sometimes, that's just the way it goes, man. It's the way it goes. They want to come after our people. They want to scream the N-word at Candace Owens. So, hey, let's take it to the Capitol, I guess. This is my Bronco for the week right there. The executioner. He's already dispatched the Redskins and Huck Finn. Looking at Dr. Seuss next. If you erase the history, it makes it go away. And then people don't have a mirror to see what the real face of racism looks like. Because I've already been through it. I remember South Africa. I remember the days where, the N-word was tossed around an awful lot, man. And it still is. And oddly enough, for me, I hear it the most from liberals. That's what they call people like Leo Terrell, Candace Owens. So, whatever. But anyhow, this isn't good for society. This isn't what you want, because eventually they're going to come after something you like. That's the way it works. It's called a slippery slope for a reason, man. Can I have a cigarette? No, you're 5. Can I have a beer? No, you're 5. Can I drive the car? No, you're 5. Can I take hormones and change my sex? Sure, you know best. Why is this a forefront topic right now? I mean, again, somewhere, and I don't remember where I saw it, somebody said, hey, if I went to my parents when I was 5 years old and said that I wanted to be a Marine, they were supportive, but they didn't give me a rifle and ship me off to Iraq. Be supportive, but a 5-year-old, man, I know from my own experience, I know from my daughter's experience, I know from other people's experiences that shit changes when you're young. It's confusing. You don't really know everything. You think you know everything, but you have no experience. You have no experience to base all of the inputs that you're getting. You can't check them against history yet. Whatever. I included this one because I love Minecraft. I would have replaced old YouTube with Angry Birds, but Temple Run, Cut the Rope, Fruit Ninja, Minecraft stands alone. And yes, it does. Oh man, I play hours a day. Optimist, glass half full. Pessimist, glass is half empty. Liberal, glass is racist. Again, calling the tail a leg. So this is my favorite one. It comes from Amiri King, and I love it because this is a show that's dear to my heart, and I always believe that this is one of the reasons why, unfortunately, I was woke before there were woke points, so I don't have any points to my name, Bummer, bro. I miss watching George Jefferson as a kid. I used to laugh when he would rag on his interracial couple neighbors. He'd call their mixed kids zebras, and he wouldn't hesitate to call Tom a cracker. I never thought to be offended. All I knew was to laugh. And that's been the point that I've brought up before. We laughed about these things. It made us comfortable around one another. That we didn't have to watch every word we say. And if you think about it, the only reason why the woke left is trying to sanitize all this stuff is that so we can't feel comfortable around each other. Because God forbid a person of color realizes that they can fit in with the Republican Party. They could be the purple party. They are. The Republicans are closer to the purple party. Because we're not trying to do a bunch of useless shit that makes it more difficult for us to get along. We're not. I'm not. I know for a fact I'm not, and I voted for Trump. But you want to call me a bigot? Go right the hell ahead, because I know more about myself than you do. And I ain't afraid of your stupid little words. And if you think I'm a bigot because of who I voted for, when all I did was vote for Trump, not like I voted for some Klan member, you go ahead and you make your assumptions, and then you tell me that I shouldn't judge other people based on assumptions, but you're going to judge me based on my assumptions. Look, that's such whack shit. That don't even enter my cipher. I just blow right on by it. Copious out.